Welcome back to my channel, students. Today we are going to discuss about phloem transport, that is how food is conducted through phloem, which is explained by pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis. This pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis was proposed by the scientist Munch. So therefore, this is also called as Munch flow or mass flow hypothesis. So before actually we start with the actual process of phloem transport, mechanism of phloem transport, first briefly I would like to introduce you to the structure of phloem. What are the parts present in phloem basically? Phloem mainly consists of sieve tubes and companion cells. The sieve tubes and companion cells are associated very close to each other. Both cannot function in the absence of other. Suppose companion cells are absent, sieve tubes cannot function there, they cannot perform their function. So both are associated together. Along with that, phloem also consists of phloem parenchyma and phloem fibers also. So for the mechanism of transport, we should first understand what is the arrangement of sieve tubes and companion cells. Structural part, if we take, sieve tubes are enucleated at maturity. Sieve tubes are enucleated. Enucleated is they are without nucleus. Nucleus is absent. That is, they have only cytoplasm inside. They have only cytoplasm inside. Companion cells are nucleated. Even at maturity, they show the presence of nucleus. And that's why companion cells must be present along with sieve tubes for their functioning. So that is briefly what are the parts you should know to understand this process. Now coming to the function or what is phloem. Phloem is a food conducting tissue. This all of you. Phloem helps in conduction of food material. Now how is food synthesized? By process of photosynthesis, food is synthesized in the form of glucose. And it is converted into sucrose. That is, it is transported as sucrose. Glucose is a monosaccharide and sucrose is a disaccharide. So these two glucose molecules will be converted into sucrose. So this is the form in which it is transported. Then next it is stored as starch. When sucrose reaches the storage organs, it is stored as starch. So this is how in different forms the conduction of food material takes place. Now during conduction, during this transport of food material through phloem, the two important structures or concept you should know is what is a source and what is a sink. The transport of food material always takes place in phloem from source to sink. Source is where food is synthesized or the region from where food has to be transported. Either food is synthesized or the place where food has to be transported. That is called as a source. Sink is where food is stored or where it is needed. Food is stored or where it is needed. That is called as a sink. And the source and sink can be reversed based on season and plant's need. Depending upon the season and depending upon the need of the plant, the source and sink concept can change. So here I will give you two examples how we can change source and sink. In one example, we can take the buds of trees at early spring act as sink, because they need energy for growth and development of photosynthetic apparatus. So here the buds which are present, they function as sink. That means what is the transport of food material here taking place? From roots to buds. So here root is acting as a source. Here root will act as a source and buds will act as sink. So here the concept is changed. Now, second example, in case of biennial plants, You know, all of you, biennials are the plants which live for 2 years. Like, for example, carrot, radish, beetroot, cabbage. These are all called biennial plants. Even cauliflower also. All these are called biennial plants. That means in first year, what happens in first year? In first year, they show vegetative growth. In the first year, they show vegetative growth. Vegetative growth means preparation of food material, increase in the size of the plant, or transport of food material, all this. In the first year, they show vegetative growth. So what is the direction of transport here? Here the direction of transport in first year, it will be from root to leaves. In the first year, the transport, I'll just change. In first year, it is from leaves to roots. Because first year food is synthesized. So it is from leaves to roots. Now, since they are biennials, second year what happens? In the second year, they show reproduction. In the second year, they show reproduction. So during reproduction, the food material is required, energy is required. So during reproduction, what happens? The food material which is stored in the roots during first year, gradually from root to flowering regions. The food material now will be transported from roots to flowering region. So in the first year, we can see leaves are acting as source and roots as sink. The second year, we can see the roots become source now. During second year, the roots become source and flowering region, that is floral buds, they become sink. So the concept of sink and source is variable. So because of this reason, because the concept of source and sink is variable, because of this reason, we can say that the direction of movement of food or transport of food in case of phloem is bidirectional. That means it can take place in two directions, because source and sink is variable. Depending upon these two reasons, seasons and plant need, the source and sink concept can change. So hence we say the translocation of food through phloem will be bidirectional. Unlike we studied in xylem, where translocation of water, transport of water is unidirectional. It cannot be bidirectional in xylem. In there, the transport is only from root to different parts of the plants. So it is always unidirectional. So here in this diagram, which I have shown here we can see the leaf where food material is synthesized, and from the leaves the food is transported to root and to the tips of the stem. So the root and tips of the stem, these become the sink and leaf becomes the source. So this concept is explained taking leaf as a source and root as a sink. Whatever may be the source or sink, the mechanism remains the same. The concept or the mechanism will remain the same. Now let us go into the other details, other functions of phloem. So phloem sap consists of which type of transport takes place, or what are the substances which get transported through phloem. Phloem sap consists of water and sucrose. Mainly it consists of water and sucrose, but other types of sugars are also present. And amino acids also get transported. Similarly, hormones also are translocated through phloem. So this is very, very important objective question. Like, what all substances can be transported? So normally we say food material in the form of sugars. But amino acids, which are building blocks of proteins, and hormones, which are proteins, they are also translocated through phloem. Now let's go into the mechanism of what is pressure flow or mass flow hypothesis. So this was first proposed by Munch. So what does this explain? It explains the transport of food material from source to sink. Transport of food material from source to sink. So how it is transported, let us see. So first we will see what are all the changes which are taking place. What are all the changes which are taking place at the source? At the source, what are all changes we find? So let us see what happens. First thing, glucose is converted into sucrose. Here in this diagram, we suppose in the leaf cell, photosynthesis is taking place in the leaf cell. Mesophyll cells of the leaf. We know food material is synthesized. So it is synthesized in the form of glucose. And from glucose is converted into sucrose. Now, this sucrose, which is in mesophyll cells, it will be transported to companion cells. These are the companion cells. It is transported to companion cells. Companion cells. Now, companion cells, it is transported to sieve tube. This is the sieve tube. Sieve tube of leaf cell, companion cell and sieve tube belonging to leaf cell. Where is the companion cell? Sieve tubes are present, or phloem is present in the midrib region. Midrib region consists of vascular tissues, both xylem and phloem. So this is present in the midrib region. So from leaf mesophyll cell, where sucrose is formed from glucose, it is transferred to companion cell. So this sucrose to companion cell, this can be just by simple diffusion. Just by simple diffusion, the food material can enter into companion cells. Now, from companion cells, the food material will be transported to sieve tubes. So, from companion cells, immediately the food will be transported to sieve tubes. This process, where from companion cell it is transported to sieve tubes, it is called as a loading process, and it is an active process. So, what is loading process? Transport of food material from companion cells to sieve tubes. And this is active process, that means energy is required. So this is how it takes place here. Companion cells to sieve tubes. Now next step, what happens? Once the sieve tubes receives the food material, let us go to the next point. Once the sieve tube receives the food material, so what happens? Hypertonic condition is created in the phloem. So in the phloem, concentration increase. So that creates hypertonic condition in the sieve tubes. So when concentration increase here, when concentration increase in the sieve tube, then what happens? Its water potential will decrease. Its water potential will decrease. So when water potential decreases in phloem, water from surrounding xylem will enter into sieve tube. So surrounding xylem, the water will enter because phloem is surrounded by xylem. So immediately water can enter from surrounding xylem into the phloem. This is taking place at the source. So when water enters, what happens? Due to entry of water, the osmotic pressure increases at the source. So concentration increase, water potential decrease, osmotic pressure will increase. Osmotic pressure will increase. So a higher osmotic pressure is developed here due to higher concentration. And then food will start moving towards the source. So this is the root here. This is the root here. So food will start moving towards the root. Now food start moving towards the root or towards the sink. Now what are the changes which should take place in the sink so that it can receive food material? Whatever food is coming from the source, the sink has to receive it. So sink also makes some changes. So what are the changes which are made at the sink, or what is the changes we can find? First thing, a low osmotic pressure must be maintained at the sink. A low osmotic pressure must be maintained at the sink. So how is this low osmotic pressure maintained? The food from sieve tubes immediately enters into companion cell. So whatever food is present here, immediately it enters into companion cells. And this process is called as unloading, and again it is an active process. Just like loading at the source, unloading takes place at the sink, and this is also an active process. Remember children, very important point here is what is loading and unloading process here. And both are active processes. Now, once the unloading takes place here, what happens? What happens next? Let us go to the next point. Companion cells. From companion cells, now the food is transported to storage. So from here, these are the companion cells. From here, they are transported to storage, for storage. Where is food material stored? In the root cortex. In the cortex of the root, food material is stored. So what is happening in the process? What is happening here? Because food material is removed, it is removed from the sink, that is from the sieve tubes, to the companion cells. A hypotonic condition is created at the sink. A hypotonic means lower concentration is created at the sink. Here at the source we find higher concentration, and here we find a lower concentration. So when concentration at the sieve tubes is lower, what happens to its water potential? What happens to the water potential? Water potential now will increase because its concentration is low. Its concentration is low. So water potential here, water potential at the sink will increase. You find opposite changes. When you compare both, you will find opposite changes. So water potential, once it increases at the sink, that means at the sieve tubes or companion cells, immediately it will start losing water. Water is removed from the phloem to the surrounding xylem. So water will now here move out. Water will move out to the surrounding xylem. So once the water is removed from the phloem, the osmotic pressure decreases here. What is the other change we find? Osmotic pressure decreases. Osmotic pressure will decrease. So once the osmotic pressure decreases at the sink, the food starts moving freely from source to sink. So what are all the requirements which are maintained here? The basic requirements which are required for the source and sink. Suppose I have to summarize here. What are all the changes which are required at the source and then at the sink. First thing we require at the source is a hypertonic condition. At the sink, what do we require? A hypotonic condition. At the sink, we require hypotonic condition. You know, hypertonic means more concentration. Hypotonic is less concentration. Then what happens here? Water potential at the source. Water potential will decrease because of hypertonic condition. It will decrease. Here water potential will increase. Then next what happens? Osmotic pressure here increases. how does osmotic pressure increases? Due to entry of water. Water enters into the sieve tubes from surrounding xylem by osmosis. You know, osmosis is due to difference in concentrations. So here there is a difference in concentration. So by osmosis, water will enter into sieve tube. That increases the osmotic pressure at the source. So at the sink, what happens? Osmotic pressure will decrease here. Osmotic pressure will decrease. So that results in movement of water from source to sink. Then another difference what we can write here, at the source which process will take place leading to all this? Loading process will take place. What is loading process here? What is loading? Movement of food material from companion cells to sieve tubes. Movement of food material from companion cells to sieve tubes. And this is an active process. It is an active process. Same thing in case of sink we find here. It is called unloading process. Unloading process, what happens? Companion cells, from companion cells, it will start moving towards the other cells of the root like root cortex. So actually it starts from sieve tubes to companion cells to the root cortex. That process is called unloading, and this is also an active process because both require energy. So loading and unloading. This is how you have to know what are the different changes taking place between source and sink so that transport of food can take place. So this mechanism is same whatever may be the source or the sink. Now let us see. Now let us go to the last part of it, the experiment which demonstrates. Actually, this experiment was performed by Munch. The experiment which demonstrates this process, phloem transport, and that is called as a double osmometer bulb experiment. Double osmometer bulb experiment. It is called as osmometer because it performs the osmosis. So what is this double osmometer bulb experiment? So here two bulbs are taken, A and B. They are labeled as A and B. B represents source, A represents sink. At the source we find the concentration is more, at the sink the concentration is less. And these bulbs which have sugar solutions with higher concentration at the source and lower concentration at the sink. And these two bulbs are immersed in a trough containing water. It has a beaker or a trough. Beaker is taken containing water. And these two beakers are interconnected. That shows the xylem. The beaker and this interconnection represents it is source of water, that is xylem. Now, the two osmometer bulbs are also connected by another bent tube that is called as a phloem. Now at the source, that is at the osmometer bulb B, since the concentration is more, water will enter inside. Water will enter inside. And that increases the osmotic pressure here, and the food material is shown by arrows. The food material will start moving towards the sink. At the sink, the sugars are removed. Concentration is very less. The sugar concentration is very less because whatever sugars are present at the sink, what is happening? The sugars from companion cells, they are removed and they are moving towards the other cortical cells for storage. So concentration always is less at the sink. So when concentration is less, its water potential is more. So water starts moving out from the source, from the sink here, from this bulb. Water will start moving out into this xylem. So this is how it maintains the continuous flow of water, and these two troughs are interconnected. The water will move from one. This indicates the source. You know where the source is. Source is in natural conditions. We take it as leaf. Sink we take it as root. And what does the xylem indicate? The root, from the root. Suppose sink, we are taking it as a root. Always water will flow from root to the leaf. So the direction we have to show in this direction from A to B. Translocation of food we have to show in this direction from B to A, because from source to sink. So this is the double osmometer bulb, which explains or which demonstrates the process of or mechanism of phloem transport, which is explained by which mechanism? Pressure flow hypothesis, or it is called mass flow hypothesis. Now the last part of this topic, we will see what is girdling experiment. Girdling experiment is removal of bark. A girdle means bark. Removal of bark, girdle. So when bark is removed, what is actually removed? Phloem is removed. When bark is removed, actually the phloem is removed. Bark consists of all the tissues present outside vascular cambium. So what does a bark consist of? Anatomically, a bark will have a secondary phloem and periderm. So when girdling is done, these are the tissues which are removed. Periderm, you know, consists of secondary cortex, cork cambium and cork. So this is what is removed. So when secondary phloem is removed, then what is observed? What is the main aim of this experiment? The aim of the experiment is to prove that phloem is involved in transport of food. Phloem is involved in transport of food. Phloem is involved in transport of food. Suppose this is a stem and girdling is done at one particular point. So this is a potted plant, here root system. So suppose girdling is done at one particular point. So what happens? At this point we find there is a swelling taking place. So we find at this point, wherever there is a girdling done, the stem shows swelling and it shrinks at this region, and again, so where at this side, what happens? The other side, it simply shrinks, and then say this is the root system. So what do we observe here? At the point of girdling, above the, suppose this is the point of girdle, above the point of girdle, the stem shows swelling. That means there is an accumulation of food material. And below the point of girdle, the stem shrinks. That shows that the food material is not available to the stem below the girdle. So this experiment proves that phloem helps in translocation of food material, because once the phloem is removed, there is no translocation of food. At the same time, this experiment also proves that xylem is involved in transport of water, Both it proves both equally for xylem as well as for phloem. So both are proved by this experiment, that xylem is involved in transport of water and phloem is involved in transport of food material. So most frequently in previous NEET exams, a question was asked based on this particular topic, that when a girdle is made on the stem, which one will die first? The question is, I will write a question here based on this. The question asked is, when a stem is girdled, which will die first? When a stem is girdled, which will die first? So, the answer, of course, different options are given. The options given are whether stem will die first, or upper part of stem will die first, lower part will die first, or first root system, or root system followed by shoot system. So the correct answer will be first root system dies. First root system dies. We can say followed by shoot. Suppose this option is there, you can choose. Otherwise, the correct one should be first root system dies, because root system will not receive any food material. Then that is one question asked. Second question is, of course, the importance of girdling. So importance of girdling, you know it. It proves both xylem as well as phloem, helps in translocation of food and also transport of water. Then other questions asked in this topic, especially the phloem transport. Other question you can get is about what is loading and unloading. You should know clearly, which I explained in the video, what is loading and unloading. Then you can get another question, sequence of changes taking place at source as well as at the sink, both source and sink. So what are all the sequence of changes taking place so that transport of food material is taking place? So with this, children, I completed my topic. So in my next video, I'll be discussing about another topic from this chapter. Any other, like I'll be discussing about uptake of mineral ions and transport of mineral ions. So those who have not yet subscribed, please subscribe my channel. So in all my subsequent videos, I'll be discussing all about the physiology. I'll be selecting some important and difficult topics in physiology, and then I'll be discussing that. So once you subscribe and then press the bell icon, you will be getting all my future videos, notifications for future videos you will be getting. So thank you very much, my dear students. Have a good day.